Today we're going to be talking about property taxes from a foreign citizen perspective. Hello there, my name is Luciano Oliveira. I am a Brazilian attorney. Today we are here in Fortaleza, Ceara, and we're going to be talking about property taxes from a foreign citizen perspective. So property taxes in Fortaleza, in Ceara, and Brazil in general are not that different from property taxes in the US or other countries, and we're going to be providing an overview of each tax applicable when you buy a property, when you keep a property, when you sell a property, and when you make money with your property. So when you buy a property, there is a transfer tax, which in Ceara and Brazil in general is called ITBI, which roughly translates for tax on the transfer of a real estate property. The ITBI is going to range between 2% and 4% of the property value, and the change in percentage is going to depend on how valuable the property is. People sometimes play games in Brazil in terms of how much the property is worth. It's not rare for sellers to under-declare the value. So the city is going to have a kind of table of how much a square meter is worth in a particular building or in a particular neighborhood. And if you come up with a value that's lower than what the city has for that property, the cartório, the registry in charge of supervising the closing, they are going to use this kind of price table from the city instead of the amount that you're declaring in the transaction. On the other side, if you're paying for the property more than what is prescribed in the price table, of course, you're going to be paying the tax on how much you are declaring. The second tax is the annual property tax. And when you compare to the US and other countries, this tax is substantially lower than what is charged in other countries. In the US, customarily, these taxes are going to be used to pay for public education. In Brazil, you're going to be paying less, and most properties are going to pay a tax between 0.6% to 1.4% of the property value. In Brazil, most states are going to allow for the taxpayer to pay the tax in installments. They want you to pay in a single shot if you can. Most Brazilians, they cannot. If you pay in a single shot early on in the process, they are going to give you up to 20% of the tax bill. Depends on the administration, on the state, on the city. They are going to look at the price table for the particular neighborhood and even at a building level. The third taxes we're going to be talking about is the capital gain tax. Let's say you're going to pay 15% as capital gain taxes. That's how much you need to collect at the time of the sale. If you are a resident foreign citizen, you have an option to roll over the proceeds from this sale into another property as long as you do it within 6 months. That means you're going to use the entire proceeds into the second property, and if you do so, you're not going to be paying any capital taxes. You need to have a legal resident status to be able to roll over the money to a second property. But if you don't have any of that, at the time of closing, you need to collect the 15% in capital gain. Not every realtor knows about it, and if it happens that you don't tell the realtor and the buyer doesn't know about that, what's going to happen is, because you are a foreign citizen, they're not going to come after you. You're not in Brazil. They know they're not going to be very lucky to chase you abroad, so they're going to actually chase the buyer, and the buyer is going to have to pay the 15% on your behalf. Therefore, whenever you're selling to someone who knows about that, they are not going to pay you the final installment of the sale unless they see you paying the 15% capital gain. Finally, we have the income tax. If you are a foreign citizen, if you're making your money abroad, just because you sent the money to Brazil to buy the property doesn't mean income. Let's say I'm doing short-term rentals. Once the income that I'm going to be getting exceeds a certain threshold, it's going to trigger the need to pay income taxes. We are not tax advisors, but in very basic terms, the way it works is you need to disclose the assets that you have and the income that you're getting abroad and in Brazil as well. They are gonna look at the taxes that you paid abroad, and they are going to see how much you would have to pay in Brazil. And then they are going to compare, all right, he paid more than what Brazil would charge. They are going to be basically saying, I'm going to leave you alone. You don't need to pay taxes in Brazil. Now, if it is the opposite, in this case, you're going to pay the difference on the global income you had. There are a lot of different rules about when you need to file tax returns in Brazil, and you would be required to consult with a CPA to get proper information. I hope this was helpful for you to understand, to have a basic understanding about how taxes working with properties in Brazil from a foreign citizen perspective. If you have questions, feel free to post them here in the comments and follow us for more tips.